welcome to Maunalua Past, Present, and Future. My name is Luka Zavas with Livable Maunalua Hui. Today we are joined by Oʻahu Invasive Species Committee, commonly known as OISC, and we have their Community Engagement Liaison, Robbie. Thank you so much for joining me today, Robbie.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
And so for our guests who aren't as familiar with OISC and all the wonderful things you guys do you mind introducing yourself and the organization to our viewers?
Yeah, I can. My name's Robbie Snyder. I use they, them pronouns, and I'm the Oʻahu Invasive Species Community Liaison. Excuse me, OISC's liaison. What I work on primarily is little fire ants and koki frogs, so I help a lot with getting us access for treatments and surveys.
Amazing. And OISC has been around for a little while now, yeah?
Yes, we started as a group of volunteers in the 1990s, and those volunteers saw a growing issue with fountain grass on an island that wasn't being addressed. So they started doing surveys, and that coincided with them finding out fountain grass was a little too far gone for them to manage, with a biologist from Maui finding that a huge species we work on now, Myconia, was starting to be introduced to the islands and getting sold at nurseries even. So we got official funding in 2001 for just 3 people to start doing that work. We've grown now to a staff of about 14 to 16. And the bulk of our work and the bulk of our staff are field crew that are out in low-level forests, hiking day in and day out to get rid of primarily plants, but sometimes vertebrate and invertebrate species too, that are really impactful to the islands. So we fill these pukas in management across a wide variety of ownerships. We work across private, across public lands, and with almost every different agency you can imagine, for access to go and make sure that some of these invasive species that we're getting that are really highly impactful, we can eradicate or contain with the more limited funds that we have.
Yeah, because there's like that graph or something, like when it's first introduced, you have most impact for little bit of money, whereas like the longer it's here, it takes more money, more manpower, more anything to like try and get rid of that invasive species.
That's right. We're trying to get rid of the future albizzias and strawberry guavas of the island before they ever get to that point.
I see. And so just for those who don't know, Myconia is like a really big plant with very large purple leaves.
Yes, and it's honestly really beautiful, unfortunately. So it used to be sold at plant nurseries because it grows really well here. It gets really tall really fast, and then it has these gorgeous wide leaves with this kind of royal purple underneath it.
I love that purple so much.
I know.
But today we're talking about something that's significantly tinier than the Myconia, and that is the little fire ants. But at a recent talk that we had gone to, I learned something kind of new, that there are no native ants to Hawaii, and all of them have been introduced in one way or another.
Yeah, that's the perfect place to start, is that in the Hawaiian Islands, there were no ants at all. So not until about the 1800s did we start getting introductions of ants, and now we have over 60 species of ants. But they run this huge gamut between ones that are maybe mildly annoying or ones that you find in your kitchen, to ones that maybe sting sometimes, to some of the most invasive ants and most painful ants that we get, and little fire ants are at that extreme end of the spectrum.
Okay, and little fire ants are very different than the ants of my childhood.
Yes.
Okay, so like I've been bitten by what I call red ants, and you know, they are hurtful, I get welts from them and things like that, but you're telling me that we talked is that the LFAs are not them.
Yes, that's right. First off, little fire ants are teeny tiny. They're no bigger than about a sesame seed. So if you see anything bigger than that, immediately you can rule it out. That's not little fire ant. We do have, very commonly, tropical fire ants, or TFA. You might find those at the YPO soccer complex, at Ala Moana Beach. Those guys love big, grassy, open places that are really hot, really sunny. Little fire ants have a different kind of habitat. They really prefer places that are moist. They prefer trees, shrubs, shade. So it's a lot less likely that you're ever going to find them out in those open fields or even out on the beach.
Okay, so they like to hang out where I like to hang
out.
And I'm not sure if we already showed the picture, but we had a picture of the two different ants just to bring it back up again, just to show.
Yes, thank you. So you can see the little fire ant up top there. It's a very rusty or kind of penny color. And then the tropical fire ant down below is much bigger, much darker. It has those huge mandibles. We're also on the lookout, not pictured here, for red imported fire ant, which we don't have here yet, but what is really common across the South when you think of those big mounds of fire ants. That's the red imported fire ant.
Okay.
So little fire ants, very different, and you have to have a microscope and able to properly identify it because it has so many little parts on the ant that you wouldn't be able to see with the naked eye to identify it.
Okay, so there are other tiny ants.
Yes.
That are almost similar in size.
Yes. And the same goes for if you have a little black ant. I would love to tell you how to treat it, but we would have to take a look under the microscope to see what species it is, because it could be any of about 20 different species that look really similar to the naked eye.
Okay. And so the little fire ants, kind of like, going off fire, sounds bad.
Yes.
And so why are they so bad for us and bad for our communities and things like that here in Hawaii?
To meet the federal definition of an invasive species, the species has to have an impact on human health, the economy, and the environment. But for the state definition of an invasive species, you need all three of those things plus a fourth, which is that it affects our way of life or cultural practices or what it's like to live on the islands. So little fire ants impacts all of those. The first is the painful sting, and that comes to human health. It's awful. I've been out in the forest surveying for little fire ants and just getting rained on, and you can see them climbing on, in this case it was strawberry guava and halikoa, and you can see all of their little trails, and they're really known for this kind of little fire ant rain is what we call it, because as soon as the wind blows, they have a really bad time holding on to whatever they're climbing. I don't know what evolutionary surface it has, but they fall right onto you, your dogs, your kids, and as soon as they get trapped, so you'll notice these stings a lot more like in the neck where you would move your head, in your elbows, behind the knees, around the waist. Wherever they would kind of get trapped either in your skin or where the clothes meet the skin is where they're going to start stinging. Usually if they're just crawling along you unprovoked, they're not particularly aggressive.
I guess if I fell on a large creature that started squishing me really tight, I would bite.
Yes, and it's super painful. It's really more so than like a mosquito bite. It's more comparable to a bee or wasp sting because they're in the same family and they have that same kind of mechanism where it's not a bite from the little fire ant that's going to sting, but it's actually from their butt or the gaster where they have a stinger that stings you.
Oh, I was thinking saliva.
Yeah.
I don't know if ants have saliva, but
Fire
that's what I
saliva.
was thinking.
Yeah.
Like, it's a reaction to the saliva, but they actually have a stinger on their butt.
Yes, and that's the most painful
I
part.
am more scared.
I know.
This fire
I
ant
know.
now.
So that's the first issue is
Yeah.
human health. The second one for the environment, of course, we're really concerned here with keeping our native forests intact. And one of the harms that little fire ants poses to those forests is that they can kill baby birds. We've also seen them in the Galapagos overtake turtle hatchlings at birth because they love that kind of moist, soft flesh, and they really go for that. So we would be concerned of it being another negative thing affecting our birds, affecting our honu. And then in the forest, they tend to kind of take over the invertebrate landscape. So any of the bugs you might typically think of in the forest, like our native caterpillars and butterflies and moths, little fire ants create super dense colonies that outcompete a lot of other things in the area. So that's an environmental effect. When it comes to the economy, little fire ants are so smart. They're a huge agricultural pest because what they do is they ranch other agricultural pests.
Nice.
So the same way that we would move our cattle around to graze on different parts of the land, little fire ants will move pests like aphids and mealybugs to new parts of the plant to feed on because they love drinking or feeding off of that honeydew that's left behind. So really smart in the ways that they work together, but it makes them really gnarly to work with. And then agricultural workers have a really tough time at the farms
Yeah.
because they're trying to pick bananas, they're trying to pick other things,
Getting
and
that
all the
rain.
while getting rained on and stung. And it's so painful. My stings lasted, I want to say they were still burning for like a full week, much longer than a mosquito
Wow.
bite.
Okay.
And the burn was like, it was truly that, kind of felt fiery instead of just itchy.
And it's not something that you get used to or build up a tolerance to or anything. Like every new bite is.
I don't want to know. I don't want to get to that point. I don't want to test it.
Yeah.
And I'm so sorry to whoever has gotten to that point.
All right. So this going through, like, what do you guys have to wear when you're going out to surveying? Do you have like special equipment and things? And like, what does it go through to like stopping their spread, to like going through, like, how do you like address them?
Yes. Yeah, I should wrap up by saying that the final thing, our way of life is also impacted.
Oh, yes.
Of course, but if you're going to be gathering materials for lei, or if you're going to be, kalo patches are one of their favorite. You've got some shade, you've got all the moisture from the water if you're doing wet kind kalo, or you're also, there's the leaves for them to feast on. So even working in the lo'i becomes really painful, also because little fire ants can form these rafts and float along the water.
They form rafts?
So we've seen them spread down streams as well because they can raft like that.
Oh, interesting. Oh, so I know you saying that they eat the honeydew from the aphids and stuff,
Yes.
but they also eat like meat.
They're opportunistic, so
Okay.
kind of whatever's in front of them, they'll end up eating up.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
They're grazers.
They are so well evolved. They were here for a long time before us, and more likely than not, they're going to be here a long time after us.
So I guess the question, like, we can start large scale. Like, how did they get from where they were to here? And then from like where they landed so spread out? Because I know Big Island is just kind of like at that point in that curve where like, I don't know if we can do anything now.
Yeah, great question. So little fire ants' native range is in South and Central America.
Okay.
Through genetic testing and tracing of different shipments of especially plants, we found that the little fire ants we first detected on Oʻahu were from the Big Island.
Okay.
From the Big Island, they came from Florida, and then from
Oh.
Florida, Central South America. So
Oh.
they've come a really long ways to get to us.
Yes.
You're right that on the Big Island, they're so widespread. They're almost everywhere. They're in every district of the Big Island. And they're, another reason that our work is so important is because it now falls on the individual to manage those populations, the same way that you might manage cockroaches in your house. What we're doing is trying to prevent Oʻahu from ever getting to that level of widespread little fire ants. But because Big Island has it, and because we're always exchanging plants and other things with the Big Island, we're constantly at risk of getting it. And no matter how good we do of testing and surveying as much as we can that comes onto the island, you just can't catch everything realistically.
They're smaller than a sesame
They're
seed.
so small, and they'll nest almost anywhere. They'll nest in any crack of the machete. They'll nest in like gravel. They'll nest in the undercarriage of a car. So while plants and soil are the primary concern, they really can get through in a lot of ways. So that's why it's so essential that we also have the community informed as part of that, to kind of catch wherever it might be popping up, wherever it slipped through the cracks, so that we can get it into treatment. Because although I've painted kind of this dour picture of they spread so fast and they can nest anywhere and we're always at risk, the treatment for them is really, really effective.
Okay.
So as long as we can get a site into treatment, there's a really high outcome that we're going to be able to eradicate that site too.
Okay, so let's kind of go through it then. So like,
Yes.
I grab a plant
Yes.
from either a store or someone gives it to me, and there is a nest in there, and I don't know it. So what is the best thing for me to do when I get new plants to kind of like make sure that I'm not a part of the spreading of the little fire ants?
Thank you. Because also, we don't want to blame anybody that's not asking these awesome questions. Like, anyone can transport anything at any time, kind of like getting a cold, You can take as many precautions as you can, but you're not going to go your whole life without getting a cold.
Yeah.
It's just part of the risk. So before you even pick up that plant from the store, the best thing to do is to ask the nursery or the neighbor who's sharing a cutting with you if they've already tested for little fire ants.
Okay.
If not, you want to make sure that they're testing their yard once a year.
Once a year.
And we'll get back to testing
Okay.
at a later point. So once you've asked, oh, what do you do? Do you treat for little fire ants? You have your plant in hand, you're going to take it home. The very first thing, like COVID, you want to quarantine it.
Okay.
You want to make sure that you're not about to contaminate the rest of your garden and it's not going to get wildly out of hand.
Okay.
To quarantine it, you can kind of set it off to the side. We highly recommend filling a tub or kind of like a bucket, if you can, with soapy water. The soap breaks the surface tension so that they can't raft across it like they would have otherwise. And then give them a few hours to kind of come out of hiding. They just got jostled a bunch, probably in the car. And then you'll go ahead and test them with the peanut butter stick stuff that we'll get into.
Okay.
After about an hour, you'll see if you have any suspect ants. And if not, you are A-okay to go ahead and put it into the garden. All it takes is that hour of making sure with peanut butter.
It's not too bad.
Yeah, no little fire ants have come out.
Okay, cool. So you guys have a slogan of stop the spread. And you kind of talked about like when we get the plant, how to like, but how are you going around like once it's already established in a community to stop it from overtaking and becoming as bad as Big Island?
Yeah. It takes a lot of hard work. Luckily, the treatment is really effective even with a few people.
Okay.
So we're at a really great point where, although we're only a staff of maybe 15, we have the resources and we have enough community involvement, enough multi-agency engagement that now, for the first time in maybe 5 or 6 years, every known little fire ant site has a lead and is going to be getting surveyed or in treatment soon.
That's awesome.
So there's no detection out there yet that we don't know, oh, who's going to respond to that, or is just kind of floating, waiting for somebody to get to it. Everyone is on something right now, which is really, really exciting. When it comes to the treatment itself, our work has actually started years before we ever take that first step onto somebody's property.
Okay.
So for the past 10, 11 years, we've been doing outreach, education. We have a school program that's awesome. And for that, it's like a ho'ike where the kids go out and test their own yards too. So that way we're able to survey even more of the island without us being out there in person. And then we send out these awesome little fire ant kits. If you don't have one yet, please go get one. These little fire ant kits include everything that you would need to do the survey except for the peanut butter. We've got popsicle sticks in here for you, a baggie. We have a hand-stamped envelope for you with the return postage already paid. It has the address, everything you need to fill out, and why it's important to do once a year. We've been sending out thousands of these over the past decade. So every week, whoever's requested them, we send out a batch. And we keep doing that to make sure that we're on top of it and everyone who needs one gets one. So make sure you have your little fire ant kit. And then on top of the kind of outreach, education, tabling, community events that we do, once we get that first usually it's a sample or somebody has told us that they're getting stung and we ask them to take a sample. We receive it at our office and look at it under a microscope because, again, you can't tell little fire ants just with the naked eye. So once we've confirmed it under the microscope, we do what's called a delimiting survey. And this is kind of the first step in a series of events that we call like our full treatment program or full monitoring program too. So that first delimiting survey, we'll probably ask you a little bit about when you got the plant, if you know when you started getting stung, so that we can estimate how long the little fire ants may have been spreading. We know that they spread approximately 60 feet a year through a process called budding, where the queen ants can clone herself and then go off with other worker ants and create new colonies just a few feet away. And you can see in this picture here just how big those queen ants are. She's not very good at fending for herself out in the wild, so she really relies on those worker ants to bring that food back to her, keep her going, and then once she clones herself again, that new queen goes a few feet away, and then that's how we get these really dense colonies, is all of the queens share the same DNA, so they're all working together instead of fighting each other.
I see.
And that's what we use kind of against them as well in the treatment. We know that the workers are going out and getting the bait for the queen. So we use a super, super low level toxicant that can live in that ant for a few days so that it can go back, feed the queen, feed the larva, feed the other worker ants in the nest, and then gradually wipe out the nest.
Okay.
We pair that treatment with a spray that contains peanut butter in it as a bait.
Yes.
And that spray kind of works like birth control for the ant.
Okay.
It's a hormone that affects insects in particular. It's called an insect growth regulator.
Okay.
So when the queen ant eats it, she stops producing the like thousands of eggs that she's pumping out, and instead produces maybe a few eggs, and those eggs, their kind of development is stunted, so they won't become full worker ants either. So with the combination of toxicant and birth control, after 1 year of treatments, which is about 8 treatments every 6 months,
Okay.
we've seen really, really effective results at completely getting rid of little fire ants. We just cleared over 11 acres of little fire ants in Lani Kai. Yep. We laid out, I think it was like 1,900 vials with peanut butter in them, and not a single one of them came back with a live fire ant. So we were so excited about that. Yeah.
Oh.
So it's really effective. After that 1 year treatment program, well, I should say halfway through, we do another survey to make sure everything's on track. At the end, we do another survey to make sure that everything's gone. And then 6 times each 6 months, we'll do a survey. So that comes out to about 3 years, where we make sure that, knowing a queen can live 2 to 3 years, we make sure she hasn't reestablished any nests, and that there were no new introductions in the colonies either.
3 years is not that bad.
It's not that bad.
When you're really thinking about trying to like get rid of a pest, especially one that's like biting you. And I think the photo might have gone up already, but the effects that those bites have on like our pets and our kids and stuff can be bad. I think there's a cat picture, with the, like the eyes whited out.
Yeah. Oh, thank you for bringing this up.
Yes.
We really worry about our pets on island when it comes to little fire ants. And this is so sad to talk about, because cats, dogs, other animals that might be going outside will get stung in the eyes by little fire ants. LFAs are really attracted to those kind of wet and protein-heavy pet foods. So they're feasting on that pet food. The pet then eats the food. Their nose is in the food. The little fire ants travel up. And then again, they like that moist, soft tissue. So the stings to the eyes create these openings for infection and can lead to what's called keratopathy, where the eyes, they start to get, as you could see, kind of cloudy, and that's a permanent blindness in the pets. So even the Humane Society on the Big Island has started reporting more and more feral cats coming in with that kind of blindness, which is really sad too.
And I think, I'm not sure if you touched upon it, but the 2 baits, for people who have pets and kids in their yards and stuff like that, it's completely safe and, non-toxic to them.
Thank you for asking. Yes. This isn't the kind of thing where you need to bring your dog in for the next week and nobody steps foot on the grass. And no, these are super low level, really, like, we're all environmentalists at heart. These are all environmentally friendly kinds of baits that we're putting out. We usually ask that people bring their dogs in while we're in their yards, just for ease of getting around, and because it's so distracting to have a really cute dog going around with you, and it's hard to stay focused on the job. But otherwise, all of the pets are A-okay to return to the yards as soon as we're done. If a dog was to eat some of the bait, it would have no effect. It's really, really safe for dogs, cats, birds, kids, adults.
Okay, because I was like, you're saying peanut butter.
Yes.
And peanut butter, my dog loves peanut butter, so just need to make sure that if for some reason, he licks it or things like that, he'll be completely A-okay.
Yeah, we've definitely lost we use little vials with peanut butter in it that are QR coded so that we can geotag where we've set down the vials. And we've definitely lost some of those in the forest to pigs, because they also love the peanut butter. So we'll come back and find a vial that's been shattered because the pigs are trying to get into it.
Oh, well, at least he left the glass behind. All right, so as we are winding down, I just wanted to ask, how can people connect with you and either come out and help in surveying, or they're like, hey, I think I need my backyard to be surveyed?
Yes, thank you. So we love volunteers. We have 2 volunteer events right now that are going pretty regularly. One is on the North Shore, in case you live up there. We go and do a hike and remove all of the devilweed along the hike. Devilweed is a huge agricultural pest. It can poison livestock if they eat it. The other one is out in Waimanalo. I think we have a picture of this one. They're called Koki Capture Nights, and you'll see us out there at night with the headlamps and with our tubes. It is so much fun to do. I take beginners out on the second and third Thursdays of each month. So if you're looking for something to do after work, be careful. I've heard that this is very addicting, so you might just get hooked on it. We'll go out there and catch those frogs to help reduce the populations out there too. And then the very last thing you can do to get involved is, once again, order this little fire ant test kit. If you are just tuning in and you haven't heard anything else yet, order yourself a little fire ant test kit. You can get that at stoptheant.org.
Awesome. Thank you again so much, Robbie, for coming and sharing the informative and very important of how we can stop the spread of the little fire ant, in addition to maybe going out and catching some frogs for
Absolutely.
fun. I wanted to also thank you to Mapunapuna Ōlelo for hosting the Maunalua Past, Present, Future. And I look forward to our next guest in the future and to talking with you all again. Mahalo nui and have a wonderful day.